We are continuing our series looking through the book on How to Talk So Kids Will Listen and Listen So Kids Will Talk by Faber and Maslish. We are in the section called Engaging Your Child's Cooperation. We are on point 3, which is instead of a long lecture, say it with a word or a short phrase. After all, why would you want to waste the energy and the frustration and the time and contribute to the negativity that's in the room by giving a long lecture that your kids aren't probably going to listen to anyway? As usual, there are some comics to illustrate these points in the middle of the chapter. And this first one is of a mother raising her arms and raising her voice as she talks to her 2 little girls on the couch. And she says, I've been asking and asking you kids to get into your pajamas, and all you've been doing is clowning around. You agreed that you'd be in your pajamas before you watch TV, and I don't see a sign of anyone doing anything about it. Whew, I get tired just reading that. What if instead of that, the mother just simply said, kids, pajamas? Now, you might think, my kids need more than just a word. Really? Have you tried it? There's another example here of a mother. It's obviously early in the morning and her daughter's just going off to school and forgetting her lunch. And the mother says, look at you. You're walking out the door without your lunch again. You would forget your head if it wasn't attached to your body. It's not only a lecture, it's an insult. It's not only calling attention to a problem, it's shaming the kid. Instead of that, couldn't the same thing be accomplished with just simply saying, Jamie, your lunch? Children not only dislike hearing lectures, sermons, and long explanations, they start to tune you out. They don't have a long attention span. And as soon as we start on a roll, they know what's coming and they just start thinking of something else. And some of the times they're thinking of how bad they are. And they're thinking of what a terrible child they are and how unloving your talk seems to them. And it just kind of reinforces their own feelings of inferiority. Sometimes they're thinking about something else altogether that has nothing to do with the situation. But why wouldn't you say in just a few words that something that can be just as effective and will support a positive atmosphere in the room and in the relationship instead of going on a long explanation? Here's another example in the comic in the chapter. Father talking to his kid about the dog, and anyone who's ever had little kids and maybe even bigger kids and a dog, this will sound very familiar. Father says, you promised before we got a dog that you would feed him every day. Now, this is the 3rd time this week that I've had to remind you, and I'm getting sick and tired of it. Your mother and I take our turns, and it's not fair that we share the whole burden. Whew, long lecture. When he could accomplish the same thing by simply saying, Billy, the dog. For children, the shorter the reminder, the better. Not only will they be able to remember everything you said, but they'll be able to get right on it. Now, again, this isn't magic, and you might say, well, this wouldn't work for my kid. Well, maybe not. It worked for ours, and with a little consistency and a little practice, I believe it can work for you and your kids as well. Why don't you give it a try? I'm thinking right now in an ancient book of wisdom called the Proverbs. There's a proverb that says, where there are many words, transgression is unavoidable. I wonder if the converse of that might also be true. Where there are fewer words, transgression is unlikely. Well, I'm not suggesting that there will never be any pushback or any rebellion or any arguing or any laziness. What I am suggesting is there will be less of it if this method is employed. I'll give you a little time to practice it before our next edition of Parenting Matters with McCracken.